it really surprises me how people think about economics from a high level. What you can see of the current actions taking to tackle the financial crisis. There's this thought that money somehow has some value, and making more money is a good idea. And it's very easy to see that thought has flaws. And you can imagine, for instance, that you have a field with people picnicking, and of course you don't need money for them to exchange what they have with them, with each other. So everybody has exactly what they need. Let's say one person arrives with too much butter, the other with too much bread, the other with too much lettuce and tomato, and they have to deal with each other to make sure that everybody has enough of everything to have a nice picnic once they're in the field. You don't need money to do that, but of course money does make it more easy as a means of exchange, because then a guy on one side of the field can buy a lot of butter and go all around the field and exchange it for money that people in the field have, etc., etc. So that's why you want to have some money in the economy, but it never helps if you have a field with people in that manner to double the amount of money. There's not going to be more butter, bread, or lettuce and tomato and other stuff, salami, in the field. It's not going to appear out of nothing because you add more money, and if you double it or you triple it, you just triple and double the price of the things that are being exchanged in the field. You reduce the price of the value of the money, and you increase the price of the goods, and in the end it doesn't make any difference. So that's what's happening right now in the US, because the US doesn't realize that it's basically a closed field with all kinds of goods and services, and if you add a lot of money, then there's a problem, because the people in the US have kind of forgotten how to where the stuff comes from. They basically have been importing it from outside the US, but because countries outside the US are seeing that the US is printing money, if you use the field analogy, you can go to another field with your money. Of course, if you double the amount, you collect the half of the money that everybody has. You take that money and go outside the field to another field where there's other people picnicking and try to buy their stuff and bring it to your field. Then you have more to eat, more to consume. But of course the people in the other field, they're not crazy, because they know that if they have that money, they cannot come back to your field and get an equal amount of goods, because you've been eating it, you've been destroying it. And so the key to growth in the economy is not getting more money, but getting more stuff. And don't try to get it from another field, but get it from your own field. So the key is to start producing. So you start growing some crops in one corner of the field, you grow some lettuce and some tomatoes, and you have your lettuce and tomatoes for your salad, and you make make a little fire in the other corner, or you grow some grains and you make some bread, and you have some more bread to go around for everybody. And that basically increases the value of the money that's available, and then you can increase the amount of money to keep the prices level. But that's what the Fed always wants to do, to keep the prices the same, but there's no reason to try to do that actually, because if you use a strategy of producing more, the value of the money will always go up, and people will be very happy with prices going down. And of course this is all gone terribly wrong in the current situation, because not only have people start thinking about money as being the means of production, because the Keynesianists, they think that if they give more money to the people in the field, they'll start digging, but and planting and building and baking. But of course they don't. They want just to use it to buy stuff from the other people in the field, and that's why it doesn't work, and only leads to inflation of the price, and actually reduction of production. Basically, that's my idea. What you need to do to stimulate the economy in the field is make it easy for people to produce. You have to make it easy for them to plant crops, not more difficult like this new law against planting stuff in your own garden. You have to make it easy for people to manufacture, so you have to educate them very well. And of course you don't let natural resources that are available, let's say you have you have a little lake in the field and there's some fish in it, and somebody has made a rod for fishing, and he's fishing the fish out of that lake. You shouldn't let the fish in that lake deplete until there's no fish anymore, because then, you know, where's your source of wealth? How can you produce? You cannot. And that's so strange, because always what you see is that the primary resources are treated as natural phenomena. And of course, if you have aluminum in the mountain, or bauxite, or I don't know how you call it, or oil in the ground, yeah, oil runs out, copper runs out. You know, you have to find copper somewhere else. There's no way around that. Of course, you can recycle more, but that's the way with some stuff. But live stuff, the ecology, is not is by nature something that replenishes itself. If you stop, you know, hollowing out these resources, and the big, you know, because that makes economical sense. Another example I can give is water in California. People say, like, California is drying out, it's drying up, and people will leave California in about 20 years time because there's no more water. It's already a problem. Same with Australia. Well, you might think about it differently, that water is the primary motor behind the Californian economy, because you grow grapes with water, you grow oranges with water, and you need it to drink, and you can swim in it, etc., etc. So you shouldn't treat it, or allow other people to treat it, as a depletable resource. It is not a depletable resource, because you can replace it by creating water, by desalinating seawater, or by making, you know, use some technology and use solar desalination. You know, it's always the way it's approached is that the industry is always there to just grab what is available and loot what is there. And because that has worked for many years, because there was no end in sight. But now the end is in sight. They all go, you know, raise their hands and say, "Oh no, well, we don't know what we have to do now. It's a big problem." Well, what you have to do is to make sure that these resources become replenishable, that they become self-replenishing. So if it's about water in California, it's the key to the economy of California. If there's no water, everybody will go away, and the whole richness of California will disappear. So it should be priority number one to make the most efficient, energy efficient of course, method of making as much water as is lacking at the moment. Now you think of the economy bottom up, not top down. Get rid of the bankers and fractional reserve banking, and you'll be much better off in the future.